Hey, how you doing? Justin here. Today we're going to start talking about recording your guitar and why it's such an incredibly beneficial thing for you to do. It really is a massive, big deal. I'm going to go through all of the benefits and I'm going to talk you through the gear that you need to get started and some quick tips on actually doing the do to make your journey into recording yourself as painless as possible. We're going to start off though with a talk about why it is so beneficial. Recording yourself playing guitar is, in my opinion, one of the most powerful tools that you can use to accelerate your guitar progress. It's really makes such a difference on so many different levels. Kind of the obvious one will be when you record yourself, you listen back to it and you can tell, hey, I'm not playing in time here, or I'm rushing, or I'm laying back too much, or my bends aren't in tune, or I'm using the same licks, or it becomes pretty obvious when you record yourself and you listen back. That's really cool. Also great though for your confidence when you record yourself and you listen back and you go, oh man, I'm rocking. This is great. This solo is really good. So it can really kind of pump you up and get you excited to continue your guitar journey. But it's also, for me, one of the most important things about recording yourself is that you get a tangible thing at the end. When you do like a regular guitar practice session, you sit down, you do your thing, you do your scales or your chord changes or your rhythm, whatever it is you're working on. At the end, you go like, yeah, I practiced well today. That's it. Whereas when you record yourself, you come up with a thing at the end that you can show your friends. You can go, hey, I recorded this song today. This is me playing guitar. As you get more into it and you may be programming drums and doing the bass and singing and backing vocals and all of that sort of stuff, it gets bigger and bigger. But even just recording your guitar over a backing track, you know, you can hear yourself back. You can play it to someone. It's a tangible thing. And I think that's a real powerful part of it. It also opens up a lot of other options for you to collaborate with other musicians. If you want to record yourself playing guitar, you can give that track to somebody else to sing on if you don't like singing. So you've got a way, again, of creating a tangible, like a full production, even if your production abilities are in some way limited, like you don't like singing or you can't do drums or whatever it is like that. If you happen to be into songwriting, learning to record yourself is pretty essential. You definitely need to be able to listen to your whole songs back. It's a great way to be able to present your demo to another writer or to a singer, but definitely getting a handle on recording a guitar and a voice if you want to be a songwriter is really super important. And probably one of the most unsung benefits of getting into recording is it gives you somewhere to pump all of the money that you've got into a new hobby. No, seriously, recording stuff is like the worst for that, because you get a new interface and you need a new microphone, then you buy a preamp, then you need new speakers, and then something else needs improving, and it's just like, it is an inevitable money pit. But you don't need to be starting off like that. I'm going to talk about the equipment that you need in just a sec. I kind of say it as a little joke, but actually the whole recording process is loads and loads of fun. There are so many different little things to explore. When you get into placing the microphone, you can explore microphone technique, how you record yourself, different preamps, different effects, reverb, delay, how it all works, how the vocals sit together with the guitar. It's like a whole new thing to explore, and it's just loads and loads of fun. So if you're going to get into home recording, you're probably going to have to buy at least a little bit of equipment. So let me take you through the things that you're going to need step by step. First thing is an instrument. You're going to need something to record. Might be electric guitar, might be acoustic guitar, might be just your voice. I'm going to take you through all of these different options as we go along. Now, if you're going to sing or you want to record acoustic guitar, you're probably going to need a microphone. There's lots of different microphones and lots of different budgets. You can spend a little bit. You can spend a lot of money on a microphone if you wanted to, but I don't think you should to start off with. Now, there's two main types of microphones that you need to be aware of. One is called a dynamic microphone. One is called a condenser microphone. Generally, dynamic microphones are a little on the cheaper side. Real common one there to start off with would be a Shure SM58 for singing or SM57 for recording guitar. Okay, they're at the budget end. As soon as you get into condenser mics, you get a lot higher quality sound, generally, a lot kind of more clarity, but they do usually get a little bit more expensive. You can spend really a lot when you get into condenser mics, but the brand Rode make a fantastic range of kind of entry-level condenser microphones, so you might want to go and check them out. One thing that you do need to be aware of with microphones as well is a thing called phantom power. Condenser microphones usually require some power to be sent from the audio audio interface, which we're going to talk about in just a sec. It's normally written plus 48 is the kind of the thing that you see often on the interface that you might need to switch on to send the power to the microphone. Dynamic microphones like the 57 and the 58, they don't need power. So just be aware of that. Most interfaces, though, will have phantom power supply built into them. If you're recording electric guitar, there are loads of different options. The old school way would be to put a microphone in front of your guitar amplifier and record that. Usually you'd use an SM57 microphone, the one I mentioned earlier, made by Shure. It is the microphone for recording electric guitar amplifiers. It still is, even though it's a budget mic. It sounds fantastic for that. However, these days there are actually a lot easier ways to get your electric guitar into your computer. Now, a lot of the modern amplifiers have direct outs that include some sort of speaker emulation. I know the Boss Katana has one. Most of those, even the budget amplifiers, have this direct out, so you don't have to worry about using a microphone. Nearly all of the more fancy modeling things like the Kemper and the Quad Cortex and the Helix, they all definitely have direct out, so you can record without having to use any sort of microphones. But as well, there's the option of using a thing called a plugin, which is like a little bit of software that works inside the studio recording software, and that emulates all sorts of different amplifiers and effects. They really sound incredible these days. It's like when they first started, they were a little bit ropey and people were still using the old school method of a microphone in front of the amp. But these days, the emulations are so good, it can be pretty hard to tell the difference. So that's something that you might want to explore as well. To get sound into your computer, you need to use a thing called an audio interface, and there are hundreds of these available. They go from relatively cheap to extremely expensive. I've been using the brand Universal Audio for a long time now, and I absolutely love their gear. Their flagship units cost thousands of pounds, but then you're talking about having like 8 inputs and 8 outputs, which is far more than you need when you get started. You probably just want 2 in and 2 out. Universal Audio make this Apollo Solar, which is the unit that I use when I'm traveling. It's fantastic. If you've got a little bit of excess money and you want to buy really great quality stuff, then do check them out. But you probably don't need that level if you're just getting started. One unit that I see is very popular, I don't actually have one, is the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, I think it's called, a little red box. And that's 2 inputs, 2 outputs. So you could record your guitar and voice at the same time, and you've got a stereo out to listen to. That kind of interface is more than good enough to get started with recording. And the more recording you do, the more you're going to start noticing, oh geez, I wish I had that feature, I wish I could do this. And then you can make wiser decisions as you spend more money on more recording equipment. I mentioned phantom power earlier when I was talking about microphones, and that is one thing that I think that you should check your interface has. At some point, you're probably going to want to record a condenser microphone, and if you don't have phantom power, you won't be able to use it. So that is one of those features that I think that you should have right at the beginning. The other thing just to be aware of is a thing called latency. And put really basically, it's how long it takes your sound to go through all of the computer stuff before it gets to your headphones. If you've got a long latency, you'll play and the sound will come just a few milliseconds later, and it can be really off-putting. So I would check out to make sure that the unit that you buy has some sort of low latency mode. I know the Universal Audio stuff is fantastic for that, because you can actually get the sound to come directly from the interface back to your headphones before it's gone through all of the computer software. So that's one of the advantages of the higher end units. They have better low latency monitoring. So just be aware of that. It's one of the things that kind of gets better the more money you spend on your interface. Getting a decent set of headphones is also going to be really helpful. If you're recording anything with a microphone or an acoustic guitar or voice, you kind of have to use headphones. If you're using one of those kind of direct electric guitar options, then you might be able to get away with using your laptop speakers, but I think headphones is going to be a good investment. Couple of things to watch out for. First of all, don't use Bluetooth. Get a wired headphone. If you're going to use Bluetooth, you're going to have that latency thing going on. So you'll hear the sound slightly late and everything that you play won't kind of sync up properly. So no Bluetooth, okay? No wireless things. Make sure you can plug it in. You'll plug your headphones into the audio interface. Really important. Second thing that is an advisory more than an absolutely essential thing, but you want to try and get a thing called a closed back headphone, not an open one. Now, generally, if you're just listening to music, having an open back, which is kind of the outside of the headphone is open, it kind of gets a little bit more air going and things can sound a little bit more natural. arguably, but closed back really keep the sound with your ears. And especially if you're recording acoustic guitar, you don't want to hear like a click. If you've got a click going tick, 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 tick in your ear, you don't want to hear that in the recording, right? So you want to get closed back headphones that are not Bluetooth. So once the sound gets into your computer, you need some software to record it with, and there are again many different options. I'm a big fan of the software called Logic, which is owned now by Apple. It didn't used to be a long time ago, but it's only found on Apple computers. So if you've got a PC, it ain't going to work. If you do have an Apple computer, they also give you for free GarageBand software. Now this software I think is so good for beginners, I'd almost say go and buy yourself an Apple laptop just to get the software. It's incredible. It makes recording really easy to program up drums, add bass in, record your guitar, add layers. It simplifies the process incredibly. I think Logic is a great extension of that, but if you're getting started, GarageBand is probably enough. Many students I've had over the years have absolutely loved GarageBand, and it's a really great gateway into recording yourself playing guitar. But if you don't have an Apple computer, there are loads of other options as well. In fact, nearly all of the major DAWs, which is a digital audio workstation, they have some kind of free version. Most of them are available for Mac and for PC. Some of the biggest name ones would be Pro Tools. That's actually what I used before I moved to Logic. I was using a Pro Tools user for 20 years. Really great software, really good for audio. Never used to be very good for kind of MIDI, which is like digital sounds and programming things, but it was much better for just recording guitar. These days, Logic, I feel, has caught up with them in that thing, but also has a lot more flexibility as far as creating other kinds of sounds. If you're into loops and digital beats and grooves and dance music, there's one called Ableton Live, which is incredible. It's not one that I use myself, but it gets a lot of love from a lot of people. But there's also PreSonus make a great one. Cakewalk is another real popular choice for PC users. There's a free one I think called Reaper. There's loads of different options. One thing that I'd recommend that you do is, if you're new to this whole thing, get a bunch of the free ones and try them out and see which one feels good for you. If you're a Mac user, you probably just want to go to GarageBand, to be honest. It's so good and so simple to use that would be my suggestion. If you're on PC, just check out a whole bunch of different ones. They're free. Download it. You get some sort of trial or whatever. Have a bit of a go. Is it easy? Is it hard? Is it intuitive for you? Do you like how it feels to use it? Because it really is. Lots of people use lots of different ones, and they're all got different features that are better than one thing. And, some people have these free plugins. Other ones are easy to use this or that. So it is a little bit, finding the one that you feel like you connect with. When it comes time to listen back to your recording, of course you can use the headphones that you may have bought already, but at some point you might want to get yourself some studio monitors. They're usually different to your regular kind of speaker. Speakers are designed for listening to things in a pleasant way, whereas what you want from a studio monitor is an honest way. Now that's not always the same thing. It might seem a little bit strange, but studio monitors are generally kind of a flat response. They really tell you how it is, and that's actually preferable to making it sound nice. If you're at a pinch, you don't need to do it. You could use your laptop speakers or any speaker that you happen to have, but at some point you're probably going to want to invest in a pair of studio monitors. Again, you can spend a little on that, or you can spend a whole lot. To actually get started, I think the best approach is just to have a go. You're going to have to do a little bit of research and figure out how to use the interface. You have to do a little bit of experimenting with that. You're going to have to watch some tutorial videos on how to use the software that you choose to use. So you're going to have to do a little bit of work. It's one of those things. It's almost like learning a new instrument. There are loads of things to explore, but I think the best approach is just to jump in and go, right, I'm going to try and record myself. What do I do? Okay, the guitar. Oh, it sounds funny. Oh, what do I have to do? Now, I'm going to take you through like a basic setup now and explain a couple of the things that hopefully get you off to a quick and easy start. But do remember, you're going to have to do some research on your own. Software is evolving all of the time and new versions. So if I make a video today, next year it'll already be out of date. So go and look up a few videos that explain how to use the software and the interface that you're going to use. So let me take you through the basic steps that you're going to need to follow to start recording. First thing you want to do is get everything connected. Obviously, you need to plug your microphone into the interface. You need to plug your guitar into your modeler and the modeler into the interface into the computer, or maybe the guitar's going directly into the interface, into the computer. So just get all of the cables in, make sure that everything is plugged in correctly. Then you want to, headphones as well. When you plug your headphones in, make sure you put the headphone cable down your back. You don't want the headphone cable rattling on the strings and putting you off. So always headphone cable down the back. Sometimes if there's enough slack, I poke it under my bum so I'm sitting on it, so it's making sure it's not going to get in the way. Now, probably the most important step is getting your input gain correct. Now that is basically how loud is the thing that you're recording going into the computer. We say how hot is it? Hot being very loud. Okay, now you don't want it to be too quiet or you get a lot of noise floor in there as well. You don't want it to be too loud because it's going to get all crunchy and distorted. So generally speaking, most of the audio interfaces or software have a thing where it's kind of green and then it goes orange and then red. You definitely don't want to see any red. So play your guitar or sing as loud as you're going to and make sure it doesn't go anywhere near the red. Again, you're going to do a bit of experimenting here. Okay, so you're going to have to learn the level, the input gain that works for your kit. Are you a quiet singer? You might have to turn the gain right up. If you sing real loud, you might have to turn it right down. A lot of interfaces have a thing called a pad, which knocks down the input gain quite a lot. So if you're recording electric guitar is really loud, you might want to put the pad on, and that lowers the minimum for the input gain. It's probably the most important thing. So you want to really spend a little bit of time getting your input gain correct so that you see no red on the interface and no red in the DAW, in the software where you're recording, okay? So once you've confirmed that your signal path is working, i.e. you can play guitar and you can see it coming up into the computer and you can hear it in your headphones, you want to check for latency. You want to make the gap between when you play something and when you hear it back in your headphones as small as possible. Okay, it's likely you're going to have a little bit of latency, but it shouldn't really be noticeable. If it's a noticeable latency, you need to do some research and figure out how to fix it. So you probably want to do a little bit of Google research and just explore, hey, how do I cut the latency with this interface or using this software? There's very often little things that you can tweak in the preferences of either the device or the software that will minimize the latency, and it'll make it a lot more fun to play if you get that latency right down. Now, if you're using a microphone, other thing that you need to check out is microphone placement. Particularly with an acoustic guitar, you want to explore where you put it relative to the guitar. Generally speaking, a good starting point is where the neck meets the body of the guitar, kind of pointing straight in, maybe like one hand away. So, I don't know, 6-7 inches or 20 centimeters, something like that. So, but do experiment, because different guitars and different microphones will respond differently. So just explore a little bit, play a little bit, record, move the microphone around. What I usually do is I talk as well. So I go, I play a bit and I go, yeah, okay, the microphone is pointing directly into the neck, and then I'll point it in toward the sound hole and go, now it's pointing at the sound hole. And then I'll play a little bit more, and then when I listen back, I can hear oh yeah, this really sounds better like that. I mean, you should hear it in the headphones anyway, but sometimes listening back is things become a little clearer because you're not thinking about what you're playing so much as well. Now, once you've done that, you want to probably try playing to a click. So set up a click track, a tick, 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 tick within your DAW. Nearly every DAW will have the possibility of a click track. Then you just want to do some playing. Play along with the click track. Learning to play in time with a click track is incredibly important. Okay, really help with your timekeeping. And again, you can listen back to it and go, oh yeah, I'm really ahead there, or I'm falling behind, or I'm moving forward or back, or I'm completely out of time. All right, so learning to play with a click track is great. If you find that a little bit boring, and you want something fun to check out, then try adding some drums into your DAW. Like I said, in GarageBand, they make that super easy, but many of the different DAWs have built-in drum loops that you'll be able to drag and drop in and play along with. It's a lot more fun playing along with a drum kit than it is just a regular click. But again, listening back to yourself and making sure that you're playing in time is the key thing that you want to learn. But there's loads more to explore. You can record bass guitar. You can, if you get a little MIDI keyboard, you can program in drums. You can program in bass. You can put in synth pads. Loads of different stuff to do. You should definitely get into exploring plugins, different preamps, which is adjust the treble and the bass like you have on your guitar amplifier, treble and bass. You can adjust that sort of stuff in the DAW. You can explore using reverb and delay and chorus and different effects. A lot of the software guitar emulations have an amazing array of effects to explore, so you might want to get into that. Remember, it's like a new instrument, so there are lots of different things to explore, lots of rabbit holes to fall down and, dive real deep into a particular thing. Try and find the things that you enjoy the most. Just like with guitar, I recommend that you learn songs and you learn techniques and you practice things that are fun, that keep you motivated to keep playing guitar. Recording's pretty much the same thing. What excites you about recording? Do you just want to record guitar and sing? Do you want to get into programming drums and making a full production? Can you find other people to collaborate with? Recording is just, I think it's an amazing thing. I really, really love that I got into recording quite early on, and I think it's one of the things that's helped me maintain interest in guitar and music for so long. So I really hope that this video might inspire you to get into recording, give it a bit of a go, maybe meet some new people, explore a new toolkit, and have loads and loads of fun. It'll probably inspire you to keep going with the guitar as well, and hopefully help you figure out things that you need to work on the instrument as well. There's loads more recording lessons actually over on the website, including a whole series that was done by my old studio assistant. He did a little series where he breaks down the whole thing, how to record a track. He uses Logic for that, but the principles apply for all of the different DAWs as well. Okay, see you for more very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.